Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this incredibly special event, Cooperation for Building an Inclusive Digital Economy. My name is Edie Lush. I'm really delighted to be with you here today. I'm the co-host and executive producer of the Global Goals Cast, which is a podcast that tells the stories of the Sustainable Development Goals, sharing the stories of the champions who are helping to achieve them. And I'm so delighted to be looking out at an audience of people who are doing exactly that. People who really care about driving greater collaboration, greater cooperation, helping to create more entrepreneurs, more innovation, more growth and employment in a shared digital economy. We are brought together here today by the Digital Cooperation Organization, and it's a global, multilateral organization that gathers leaders such as yourselves from business, civil society, academia, research to accelerate social prosperity through increasing inclusion and growing the digital economy. And they, as you may know already, have a very special focus on including young people, women, entrepreneurs, and the underrepresented. This is the third roundtable discussion. Already had some in Kigali and also in Santiago. After this, Brussels and Bangkok. And the point, by the way, is not just to listen, but actually to contribute as well. We've gathered you as experts in this field to help develop an action plan. So I'll be getting you guys to speak later today, so make sure to stay sharp. So in the Global Goals Cast podcast, I've told so many stories about growth through the digital revolution. Ibrahim Condé, a refugee from Sierra Leone who crossed the Sahara Desert and the Mediterranean Sea, finally getting a mobile phone to learn Italian, write poetry in an online competition, and win a scholarship to a high school in Italy. He's now on a full scholarship to university in the US. Golden and Maynor, two Zambian farmers using an app, the eBay for farmers, to negotiate lower transport costs and higher prices for their produce to sell at market. And Charity, on the other side, the market seller who bought those vegetables for less than she had previously. I've told stories of engineers in Rwanda and Nigeria who were designing sensors for water wells to measure water levels, exported that technology to my home state of California to remotely and automatically monitor the falling water levels there. Zachary, a former child soldier in the DRC who put down his gun to learn digital skills, and very close to my heart as well, the girls in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya who are passionate about the Sustainable Development Goals and are learning to code in order to help create solutions to the world's biggest challenges. So the question really today is, how can we together enable more of those stories to be created and told? Reducing costs of computers, smartphones, digital skills training, tackling the tough issues around data privacy, increasing internet access, especially in rural areas, increasing trust in technology, another tough and important one. Better and more transparent laws are just a few of the ways that we can do this. Because in a few years, the digital economy will just be the economy, at least for some of us. In a poll of lower-income countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, still 65% of those surveyed said they didn't know what the internet was or how to use it. So I don't need to lay out the challenge for you guys. You already know it. But I will be asking you to help us find together some of the answers. Before I come to all of you for your input, I'd like to sit down with a few honored guests. Please do come to the stage. Secretary General, the DCO, Dima Al-Yaya, Minister of the Digital Economy, Minister of the Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship from Jordan. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ahmad Hanande. And also the Assistant Secretary General for Policy Coordination and Interagency Affairs. Your title is so long that it's going to take a while for me to get through it. At the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Please welcome Francesca Spatolizano. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you.
So this first discussion is really around achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals through an inclusive digital economy and really focusing around inclusion and cooperation. So, Your Excellency, we'll start with you. I had the opportunity to listen to you talk about your national plan last week, and I'd love to hear a sense of what are the most important parts of the national digital strategy are and why it's so important for countries to have a very concrete digital vision.
Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank DCO for organizing this event, a newborn organization that managed to achieve excellent results and being a very good support to our efforts in Jordan. So thank you very much, Dima and the team. And all state members of this organization. In Jordan, we understand the fact that the world is transforming. It's going digital, something that you all hear every day. So there is no way out of it. The younger the generation, the more dependent they are over digital solutions. Digital solutions has the magic solution for so many challenges that we are actually facing every day. Does it kill jobs? It does. Traditional jobs, routine jobs, they'll die. New jobs are coming up. Culture is changing, the culture is changing. I always give the example, when first the delivery applications and the passenger transportation applications came into Jordan, it was a big no for that. No, halas, we're used to the traditional way of doing things. Traditional courier companies, traditional yellow cab, and traditional meters. So everybody was worried about the jobs of those people. And turn around that the demand is much bigger than the supply. When those companies started, they started against the regulations, by the way. So the government could not stop them. And then they managed to get the support from the crowd. So they get the support from the end user. So whenever the government wants to stop them, people comes out on social media and say, why do you want to stop them? Give us a better service and then you stop them. Before you give me a better service, don't stop them. Let's see where they are today. 4 or 5 years down the line. 30,000 licensed drivers on these applications, and the yellow cab is still there, and they're working. 1,000 employees working for those companies in Jordan. Let's put all this aside. 30,000 unlicensed. Okay. We don't know the exact number, but we're estimating it at around 30,000. What else? Okay. Hundreds and hundreds of home businesses were created because those platforms are there. So ladies managed to do a nice cooking at home, deliver it to offices, and make money, and they're making good food, okay, and they have a good customer base. Hundreds and hundreds of small restaurants opened up, okay, because of the delivery business. When I first took over, I called those applications, the operators, and they said, how many orders you're doing per day? It was any Corona time. And they said, over weekend, we do 50,000 deliveries a day. Those 50,000 deliveries a day, 4 years ago, were not there. So the purchase power was into the food industry was increased because of them. Usually when we sit at home and we're hungry, what we'll do is we'll go to the fridge, find something to eat, do a sandwich. Now we open the mobile, okay, make an order, the food comes in, and we're on the couch. So actually 3 days ago, I met the lady who's running one of those companies. specialized in food delivery. And she said, Your Excellency, you remember the number I gave you 2 years ago? I said, yeah, I remember. She said, multiply by 4.
Wow.
We're doing 200,000 orders a day.
Wow.
So it is, if we look at the direct impact of this simple, by the way, humanity was doing this before. We used to do ride sharing. We come from a small village in the north, so very few people used to own cars. So in the night, are you going to the city? Yeah, I'm going. We're going with you. So they used to do ride sharing. We used to have shared economy our own way, but today with the digital platforms, it's becoming a national thing. So we're utilizing, we're transforming things that we used to live with into platforms, and the sky is the limit, to be honest, on how much we can create opportunities for people. But we need to jump out of the box, not to think out of the box. With digital transformation, there is no box anymore. So,
Your Excellency, do you have a sense of how much it's adding to the economy? Can you divide out the
to be honest,
economy?
I would bet if anybody has that number. But at the end of the day, today we're trying to navigate our way through how to calculate that. We go sector by sector and we see a tremendous growth in that. But nobody has what is really the real components that identify the digital economy and how digital transformation impacted jobs, businesses, and so on and so forth. I think it took a long time. On our digital transformation, we have multiple pillars. One is the infrastructure, and we're taking our time on that. So infrastructure isn't traditional infrastructure that we do. And we creating the joint infrastructure with the setup that helps us to utilize the low code into providing services to the end user. So services is another layer. We're trying to do services faster than upgrading infrastructure, because if I want to wait to upgrade the infrastructure, it will take ages. So the services, we're utilizing low code technologies into providing services to the end user fast and easy. Data is a layer. So we're giving priority for data. We did the National Unified Registry. We're cleansing the data at the moment. Digital payments is another layer of the transformation strategy. And the regulatory environment. The regulatory environment needs lots of I said it in Jordan once. I said, when I was asked, I said, public sector over the last so many years has been complicating processes for all wrong reasons. Okay, just to actually maintain the authority and the power and to keep the value for the chair. Today we need to change this. We need to simplify processes. And if we don't make it easy for others, they'll do it without us. They are doing it without us. Innovation today has its own way around regulations. So they're playing around regulations. So regulatory environment has to be accommodating, motivating, and innovation friendly and technology neutral. So we cannot stop against technology because we don't know it. We cannot stop against technology because we don't know how to deal with it. We cannot stop. I did not do cryptocurrency, but I opened up 3 wallets for Kareem, my son. He's 17 years old. Okay? Because he came to me and he said, you don't want to do cryptocurrency. I want to do cryptocurrency. I said, fine, take, this is a wallet. And do. And he made some money, to be honest. And I was impressed.
I hope he shared it.
Yeah, so, plus we have sectors on priority, transportation, education, and health sector. We're trying to find our way through these 3 sectors. To be honest, on the health sector and especially people, what do they want? From on a sectorial basis, they want health, transportation, and education. Give us health, transportation, and education, we're happy. Okay, we can use digital transformation into improving these 3 sectors, and we can do miracles with these 3 sectors if we manage to monetize technology and digital solutions into these sectors. Previously, the public work was centralized services, decentralized service platforms, complicated processes. What we're trying to do with the strategy is decentralized services, centralized service platforms, and simplified processes.
Okay, I'll come back to you on that if I may. I want to bring in Francesca. Thanks very much for being with us in what I know is an incredibly busy week and a tough town to get around. I want to talk with you about what the connections between the Sustainable Development Goals and the digital economy are. How can the digital technologies enable achieving the global goals?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you for having me here and being part of this conversation. Second, I think the minister gave the most vivid explanation of how you link these technologies to actual life, real life goals. Education, transport, health are all sustainable development goals. We often use this acronym SDGs because we are in the UN bubble, we know what it means. But what it means is exactly that, real people needs and how to get there. And digital transformation, as you said, is clearly one of the tools which has given the most acceleration to the progress, or the progression, I should say, towards these SDGs. The fact that, unfortunately, we are not on track to achieve the full spectrum of these sustainable development goals is a harsh reality. We, even before the pandemic, we were not going ahead as fast as we should have, for a number of reasons, but certainly with COVID-19, there has been setback and reversals in progress which had been achieved in a number of goals. So that is well documented, unfortunately, in all the UN reports you can read about the Agenda 2030. And just to give you a few figures, nearly 15 million people died directly or indirectly due to COVID. At the end of 2021, global health systems, I don't have to tell you, has been disrupted and overwhelmed, even in very developed countries. But at the same time, the ability of the scientific community to come up with a vaccine has been what has brought some reversal in the pandemic propagation. And unfortunately, an additional 75 to 95 million people will live in extreme poverty compared to pre-pandemic projections. So we had these terrible setbacks, but, and that has prompted the Secretary General to say yesterday when he opened the General Assembly that the situation in the world is dire. But of course, all this is also the moment of awareness and seizing the opportunities that the innovation, the technology innovation gives us is what we should do and set our mind to do also for the internet. The internet itself is a network, is a system, is a tool for all of us to use it. And probably innovation, as you said, is well ahead of what governments and regulators can do and are able to do. But at the same time, I believe it's well understood that total, free-for-all rides is not necessarily the best of the world, let's put it this way. So the role of the United Nations in this case and the organizations like this one is to provide a common ground, a reflection on what the best principles which are common to all can do to help us have an internet which delivers services, delivers innovation, but at the same time can provide those guarantees we all think as individuals are essential. Protecting children online, avoiding that it becomes a vehicle for hate speech and harassment of the users, giving the best results for all and not just for few. There is an enormous digital gap, as you know. Accessibility is another theme we should have in mind. And I could continue. So there is this balancing act between the innovation, and that's what the industry does best, and the necessity to find common ground so that this tool, which we have, serves all and not just some, and serves all for the best and not in a menacing way.
Thank you. Thank you. Secretary General, I wonder if you could give us an idea of some concrete initiatives that the DCO is working on, because you're not just about gathering people, but you're about doing things too. Digital initiatives that are supporting the global goals.
Well, definitely. Thank you for that question. And the objective of having all the expertise here, which thank you very much for attending, is listening and for working together to create recommendations and see exactly what is the actions that we're supposed to action today for a better, prosper future. And this is our first attempt for cooperation, bringing the ecosystem together. Just a small story and building on His Excellency's great examples. One of my friends, she had a meeting she had to attend at home. She wasn't in the office. She used her phone. Unfortunately, her headphones didn't work. So therefore, she called her home IT support, which is her 8-year-old son, who barged in the room, and in 10 seconds, she can hear everyone on her phone. So her son was fortunate to have parents that gave him that accessibility to internet and for him to learn. The thing is, how about the 1.3 billion unprivileged children in the world that do not have access to such just something very simple like the internet, which is now becoming a necessity like water and like electricity? How about the 327 million women who have less opportunities to have accessibility to technology than men? We still have a huge, huge divide. And that divide, we cannot bridge that divide without working together and collaborating. Now, looking at nations whom are coming up with new innovations that are in need for for the world and to achieve the SDGs in terms of either infrastructure, providing a better infrastructure like 5G and so on, or preventing climate change and creating opportunities, moving youth and women from job seekers to job creators. But the thing is that availability of technology, is it really available to everyone? And this where the gap is increasing, and because the opportunities are not fair. And if we look at what are the engines that are moving digital economy today, is private sector and talents. Now, is there a gap between public sector and private sector? Yes, there is. There's a huge gap. And here is where we have to be more closer to innovators, understand these technologies, as His Excellency mentioned, not suffocate with regulation and policy, and innovate within policy and regulation. The mindset has to be shifted from, we have been discussing a lot what divides us, and focusing on how can we become better. We have to focus that attention and mindset to how can we help each other and share best practices with one another that will help nations to leapfrog. So why should we reinvent the wheel? So some of the initiatives that DCO is working on, one that is very passionate I'm very passionate about and close to my heart, and actually we're working with a Jordanian startup called Makani, is Elevate 50, which is promising to create more than 50,000 online businesses, moving traditional businesses into online businesses, and that by itself will directly create increase in GDP and also job creation. Another story, a woman in a village called the Taif in Saudi Arabia. So she was a widow, had 6 kids. She was living next to a farm, and it had flowers, which is al-ward al-taifi. She created essences, perfumes, soaps, and so on, and products, but she only had consumers, which is only the village. So her son, which was a knowledgeable son, told her, okay, why don't you sell online? So we supported her in creating her e-commerce store through the platform with all the value chain, helping her to understand marketing and also supply management and delivery. After a year, she sells to more than 90 countries from all over the world. She employed 60 more women, not only in her village, but beyond that. So just the power of, and the multiplier effect of just providing her that opportunity to move her business from a traditional business to online business. Another initiative that we are working on, which is the Startup Passport. We truly believe that technology has to be available to everyone whom needs that technology. Therefore, we're providing the Startup Passport to our member country innovators to expand very freely. We are fortunate that we represent more than 600 million in population, and that by itself is a huge market for any SaaS solution or any digital innovators. Which we will bridge the gap of the administrative costs as well as the access to market. Last but not least, one of the initiatives we're working on that focuses on collaboration, which looks at not only the policy and regulation, but also action-oriented programs, which is connecting businesses and enterprises to the need of our member countries, which is the Digital Economy Maturity Index. And this is a blueprint that will help our member countries to identify the need. And then we bridge that gap with the private sector that can support and providing the solutions.
Interesting, fascinating. Well, you already mentioned cooperation between Saudi Arabia and Jordan. Your Excellency, I'd love to hear if there was a country that you've particularly collaborated with in terms of creating digital strategies or solution. Was there a particular partnership that has worked really well?
Thank you very much. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't say, with Saudi, we're in continuous dialogue, and we consult with them in so many fronts, to be honest. But we did at the preparation phase of the strategy. We had consultation with India, one of the main stakeholders in the Indian digital transformation. JDS, the Government Digital Services of the UK. We had also the USAID with us, supporting our digital transformation efforts. At the same time, from our side, we have been benchmarking, to be honest, what fits Jordan best. We had the only thing that you are a little bit late is the fact that you have the privilege of checking all success stories, right, and pick the best out of all and come up with your own. So we tried to actually come up with our own, and now we're trying to speed up and catch up with the others. Because I'm a strong believer that surviving is for the fastest now, not for the strongest. Strongest means nothing at the end of the day. So we need to be as fast as possible, and we need to catch up with everybody.
Interesting.
And what I missed in the previous question, and I want to add it now, is the upskilling talents that we need for the future. Everybody needs to focus on that. I don't think our educational system is delivering ready to operate talents. Very few schools are delivering skillful talents in the new digital world. So we need to, in Jordan, we're focusing on that actually, and we're trying to bridge the gap between supply and demand. We're trying to get ready for what is after digital transformation, where different skills are required. for different jobs that will be created. So we're trying to catch up with that as well.
Interesting. Francesca, I'd love for you to tell us an example of a public-private partnership that you've worked on with the UN that's either worked or one that could serve as a cautionary tale. Hasn't worked so well, something to be aware of for the future.
Well, I don't know if I want to, put a finger on
Stay positive.
any particular failure, but I would say the importance of partnership remains crucial, and you're right to highlight this aspect. As I said before, there are things the private sector does best and things that we think are better discussed at the level of governments. But that doesn't mean that we are excluding one or the other actor in each one of the settings. In fact, one of the main messages is the multilateral, multi-stakeholder approach that the UN would like to propose as a regular and normal approach in all sorts of rulemaking and programs that we propose. This is the message of the Secretary General in his report, Our Common Agenda. Partnership is important. Without partnership, we will lose our people. The society we live in is not, trusting our institutions if they don't participate, if the institutions are not accountable. So definitely the partnership and the inclusion of all the actors in the society is an essential way of doing things. I would like also to go back to the gender, in talking of inclusion, gender disparities are really very, very dramatic. We have the Department of Economic and Social Affairs and UN Women issued what we call the gender snapshot only weeks ago. And you can look at those figures and really be surprised, maybe, just to give you a sense of what we're talking about. At current rate of progress, the gender gap according to the SDG gender targets would take 300 years to close.
Oh, wow.
If we don't speed up, you can wait and wait and wait. So this tells you that there is really a need to put your mind to task and improve access to education, access to skilling, coding for girls, all these things which in the society where we live now are essential, not a luxury anymore, but just tools to survive, basically. And do that with a very, very intentional effort.
Interesting. Well, you may have answered my last question. We've got limited time, and I want to make sure we put these folks to work for you. But they're going to spend the next few minutes debating issues like how to decrease barriers to participation in the digital economy, how to scale international cooperation, how to accelerate digital prosperity for all. Is there a particular issue that you would really like them to tackle, Your Excellency?
To be honest, I don't see a need to ask that question on how to increase the international cooperation. Okay, it's a must. Need to do it. We have no way around it. And if we don't do it, the entrepreneurs will do it.
Right.
The new generation will do it. They will leave us behind. So if we don't want to be left behind, we need to open the door for cooperation. Because today we're talking about metaverse. We're talking about going totally into a virtual world.
Right.
We're talking about digital currency and cryptocurrency. We're talking about digital goods and digital services. I can provide service to any country in the world sitting at my home in Jordan. Okay. I can sell any product to anywhere in the world sitting at my home in Jordan. So at the end of the day, we need to catch up, not how to cooperate. We need to catch up with all this and redefine our business environment and regulatory environment to accommodate this, because it's happening already. And we're not doing it to accelerate things. We're doing it to actually adapt with things happening around us. E-commerce is happening. Cryptocurrency, humanity, and in my opinion, is repeating itself online.
Okay.
Trading, and then let's take internet, for example. We started with the internet. I'm from a generation. I catched up with internet as an information search engine. That's it.
Right.
Okay, so I go to what is, I don't know what, to get the information. I was in a company that created its website for the first time. And then it became a website, and it's a product and services platform.
Right.
And we moved from offering products and services into platforms. Okay, and then companies like Amazon, Alibaba, eBay came in as platforms. Today, we're not talking about platforms anymore. We're talking about ecosystems.
Yes.
Internet is all about ecosystem. Everything that you need with click a button.
Okay. Time is out. Very briefly, you had unlimited resources, Secretary General. What's the first thing that you would try to solve? First thing you'd put those resources towards?
Infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's the backbone, and it's the that with it you can build anything and you can leapfrog. But infrastructure is
Okay.
important.
Francesca, what about you?
Because I think she managed to sort out gender equality.
Well, unlimited resources is not what we have at the UN, let me say. But I would try to be very local. I would try to go in every village, in every place, and explain what we are talking about.
All right. Perfect. Well, let's give our panel a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll let you return. Thank you very much. And it is thank you very much. So it's your turn now, audience. And before I unleash the collective brilliance of this room, I'm going to give you a few points. We've got a key topic to be discussed that's on your table. Each group is going to examine some key issues and find some strategic solutions to solve these issues around cooperation and digital prosperity. So you're going to have about 30 minutes to speak together at your table, and then we're going to have a larger discussion, all of us here together, for another 30 minutes. I'm going to be asking each table to share their thoughts and discoveries with the room. So there are some big flip charts behind you that you can each use to take notes. My advice is you appoint one note taker and also a spokesperson for each table. These roundtables, by the way, are really important because they will ultimately help to shape the DCO's work to advance and achieve digital prosperity. So please be very specific in your recommendations. What are your biggest successes, your biggest failures, your biggest frustrations and ambitions, and also examples, because I'm going to be pushing you for some concrete examples that you can give me. So have those at your ready. This is all operating under the Chatham House rule, by the way, so you're very welcome to share what you learned after today, but not who you learned it from or their title. Can't give away that secret. So you're going to be talking about international cooperation, how it can create a digital economy for all, and the barriers to a more inclusive digital economy. So I will let you get started, and I'll be back with you in about 30 minutes. Have fun.